Morning, everybody. How are we? Good? Great to see so many of you here this morning. There must be something good on, but thanks for coming, everybody. So my name is Carl Lumsden. I'm an agency manager here in Google, and together with my colleague Lyndon, who I'm sure some of you would have seen up here on stage, we run the breakfast briefings here, the Grow Google series in Dublin. So thank you all for being here this morning. My first question for everybody is, does anyone know, or who knows what GML is, or what Google Marketing Live is? Show of hands. A few. Look, that's what today is all about, right? Google Marketing Live is our annual kind of showcase for the product roadmaps, what's coming down the line, and hopefully what some of the tools, tips and tricks that you guys as marketers can maybe use to grow your own business as well. So before we do that, couple of kind of housekeeping things first of all. Can I ask everybody just take out their phones first of all? I know it's unusual in a presentation, but everyone just take out your phones for me. Jump onto YouTube for me, please. And just search for Google and YouTube Ireland. We got it? Everyone find the channel? Subscribe to that channel for me. The number one piece of feedback we get is, where can I get the content? I want to get my hands on the content afterwards because I'd love to go through it myself. That channel, folks, we upload the content. Every one of the presentations you'll see there's videos going back as far as 2017. So anything, if you want to learn yourself on smart bidding, or I want to look at maybe doing a YouTube campaign for the first time, all of the content, all the speakers, all the content that we've done previously is up on that channel. So that'll be your first port of call to get the content. The second place you'll get the content is, and some of you will be well versed with this, is on the feedback form. So feedback is a hugely important aspect of this for us guys, right? This is an event that we want to do with you guys. And it's your feedback that will help curate the content for us and make sure that we're kind of hitting the mark for what is important for you guys. So when the feedback goes out, that's your opportunity to inform what the next session might look like, or sessions down the line might look like. Which brings us on to today. One of the most common pieces of feedback we've had is, it's fantastic to get Google's perspective on what's important and what's coming down the line and what maybe we could be investing as a business. But we'd love to hear from maybe some Irish businesses that have used this or that are starting to roll this out for their business, and maybe they're seeing some positive results already. That's feedback that we've had from you guys consistently over the last while, which is why we're going to be going through that today, and that's why we've got two great guest speakers from two fantastic Irish businesses today to give us their take on what they've taken from Google Marketing Live. Okie doke, sound good? Yep. Okay, we're going to get straight into it, guys. So we're going to hear from Dave and Caroline shortly, from Group M and from Optimisation. Different businesses, but still both operating in the media space. But without further ado, I'm going to hand it over first of all to the head of Google Marketing Solutions, Marie Davis.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Foundry. My name is Marie Davis, and I am the head of Google Customer Solutions. And I was lucky enough this year to go and attend Google Marketing Live for the first time. But not only was it my first time attending Google Marketing Live, it was actually the first time ever that we had businesses from Ireland attending it, and that's absolutely huge for the market. Because Google Marketing Live is where every year Google announces all of the latest ad innovations, all the latest product innovations. So anything that's going to be coming over the next year is going to be announced. So to have two Irish businesses there, being the first people within Ireland to know about these innovations, is absolutely fantastic. And to bring that and to share that with everyone today is just fantastic. And we're delighted to have Dave and Caroline here. There was a lot discussed in Google Marketing Live, but I think one thing that's all very reassuring for us is that things like mobile, smart solutions, a lot of display, a lot of the core work that you will have been working on over the course of the last year, they are still the foundations of what you should be working on for your strategy. And there was a lot of talk about strengthening those, about how to make the most of those. We also announced the launch of new ads products, which are going to be coming, things like gallery ads, things like discovery ads. So listen out for those, because you're going to be hearing a little bit more about them. And really three themes that kind of emerged were the evolution of mobile. Mobile is absolutely not going anywhere, but it is evolving, and customers' behaviour on mobile is evolving. There was the evolution of shopping. Again, more about that is going to come throughout the year. And the evolution of user privacy. We've heard a lot of feedback from users and from businesses, and that was also a core focus of what was announced on Google Marketing Live. So it was a fantastic, a very intense couple of days. I'm sure Dave and Caroline will agree. But rather than me telling you about all of the key takeaways that I had, because you're probably going to hear about some of these over the course of the next few breakfast briefings, I would love to invite Dave, who is the head of platforms at Group M, to maybe come up and tell us a little bit about what he learned and how Group M are actually applying a lot of those learnings across their products. So please welcome Dave Macken.
Clicker there, isn't it? Yeah. Cheers, thanks very much, Marie. So my name is Dave Macken, so I head up the M platform team within Group M, and that really is, simply put, Group M's digital services, technology, and kind of products division. So it's everything kind of housed within the one unit. So I was lucky enough to get the invite to attend Google Marketing Live 2019, and really the first thing that stood out to me was Marketing Live in 2019 is really just an evolution of the big announcements that were there in 2018. So in 2018, there was the big announcements around how the brand of Google was changing the products. And really, it's around the marketing platform. So if you look at Google's predictions for 2019 on Think with Google, the big thing that stands out is they talk about this omni-channel world. And for us, kind of in a large agency, what it really means is we're moving from looking at individual channels to really focusing on one ecosystem. And in Google's world, that ecosystem is really the marketing platform. And that's really the big thing that stood out to me, is we're moving from this world of individual channels into this world where we need to own the ecosystems, and all the ecosystems are different. So the ecosystem that lives within Facebook, at Google, they're completely unique, and that's what really drives the value. So what I really want to focus on today is not specifically individual product announcements, but what I really want to try to focus on is actually the impact the changes in Google Marketing Live will have on the solutions that we design and services we deliver in Ireland. And what I really mean is the solutions that we design to drive value and how we actually deliver those within the Irish marketplace. So a lot of what was talked about is the really big picture, a lot of product announcements, but what does that actually mean in a market like Ireland? And actually, how do we take what's here in the market and potentially export and deliver more? And really, the changes kind of drove in two key areas for me. It was, first and foremost, was simplification, and the second was the consumer. So a lot was talked around simplification, how Google is simplifying things for us to deliver advertising to the consumer. So the whole concept was they're going to simplify the delivery of everything, all the way from how we engage with the consumer, how we measure, and how we gain insight. And then finally, the consumer. What was really kind of stood out to me was there's an app I use called Google Trips, and it kind of gets me from A to B. It contains absolutely everything, and I don't want to steal too much from Caroline's session later, but I just felt like no one else knew about it, and then they unveiled Google Travel, and kind of what really stood out to me is they have a perfect grasp of how the consumer is interacting with all of their individual products, and they're simplifying how we can communicate with the consumer, but they're actually building real benefit for the consumer, something that really stood out. So in terms of Google Marketing Platform, it's really providing the foundation as we move into the ecosystem world. And a lot of what stood out, particularly from the keynotes, was first and foremost engagement, measurement, and insight. And you might think of engagement as the formats we use, how we communicate with the consumer, whether it's YouTube, whether it's display. But actually, what stood out with engagement was signals. It's how we choose the consumer we communicate with. So everyone thinks it's the main signal across Google as paid search. It's what comes into the search engine. The keyword is that signal of intent. But actually, particularly in a kind of a discussion around the future of search and where this is all evolving to, there's so many more signals that allows us to identify what the consumer is doing. And you'll see a lot around how data is being used in terms of custom audience solutions, actually how Google is allowing you to kind of broaden this and bring data sets together, kind of how it's retiring the difference between custom affinity and other audience sets. So really, what stood out to me was how we can understand what particular stage in the journey the consumer is in. You'll see a lot of screenshots, you'll see a lot of information, particularly from the keynotes, all around touch points. So all around how we understand all the touch points the consumer goes through, what they engage with. So engagement really stood out to me first and foremost. Second was measurement, and what I kind of really thought was quite interesting was an area called the product sandboxes, where you can actually go talk to the individual product people. So you hear a lot about analytics at the wider talks, but actually when we got and really talked about measurement, the most important thing from an agency point of view is actually how do we show the return on ad spend? How do we prove that an investment in advertising has some form of better return than another form of investment? And the most important area that we're focusing on at business is around measurement. And what I really got a big insight into is not the individual platforms like analytics, but how they're bringing measurement together. Example was the Analytics 360 team were working directly with the Salesforce team in terms of product at the event. And there was a lot of great insight about how you actually understand beyond just that sale or that conversion, getting into more things like lifetime value, which I thought was incredibly interesting. And finally, within marketing platform, how you bring together the insights. So I think probably the crown jewel and the most probably underutilized part of marketing platform is when you connect things like BigQuery, and then you actually have a free, unbelievably powerful visualization platform in Data Studio and how you bring that all together. So there was a lot of kind of talk at a product level about bringing all of those different aspects together. So really, it's about how you connect the power of DV360, Search 360, how you can measure beyond just analytics, looking at things like BigQuery and integrations with Salesforce. And then finally, you bring all that together into a visualization layer like Data Studio, and thought it was really interesting. And what actually it all boils down to is it's kind of split into two divisions. It's split into advertising and analytics. So that's the double-click platform. You'll see, sadly, for those who have used things like Campaign Manager a long time, that they're in gray. When I started, Campaign Manager was on version 3. It's now being basically rolled into the 360 stack. But what it really means from a practitioner's point of view is we have part of the field which is built around engagement and part which is built around measurement and insight. So Search Ads 360 is actually going to be how we kind of manage search, discovery, and commerce. Display and Video 360 is going to really become the engagement hub, but that's going to be where everything happens from an ad serving, from an engagement point of view. And then measurement and insight, analytics becomes understanding performance. Tag Manager becomes really, really important because it all falls down unless you can actually measure. So how do you ensure you can measure performance? Optimize 360 is actually how do you deliver the best consumer experience. Survey 360 was a really interesting one. It's like how do you go beyond just the signals you can see and the information you can gather online. And then finally, Data Studio brings it all together into visualization. So from a kind of an agency practitioner point of view, there's a really clear role I felt coming out of Google Marketing Live for all of these platforms. But as I said, it's really not about the individual platforms. It's about how you bring it all together within the ecosystem was the big bit I walked away on. And it really reflected their kind of Google's predictions for 2019 around the whole omnichannel world. So kind of 3 products are what I walked away, and I really felt these products are going to what will accelerate the change. And it's not necessarily the key product announcements, but I think it's what's going to bring the most change to the industry, particularly in Ireland. And the first one I kind of focus on, and the bit that I've been speaking about for a long time, is how TV is joining the ecosystem. And what I really mean here is TV is now becoming kind of part of this connected ecosystem. So when I started in 2011, I gave a presentation as a graduate just in on TV, and I looked into the ads platform, particularly in North America, and you could actually, at that time, they were trialing buying kind of online TV. It was a thing. But in 2019 at Google Marketing Live, it really hit home that TV is now a big thing. TV is now connected to the 360 infrastructure, and that's going to make a big change. So speaking to the guys in Virgin Media yesterday, in 2017, there was 2,000 streams of Love Island, the first episode live. 2018, there was just over 20,000. The first episode in 2019 of Love Island delivered over 120,000 streams just for the first episode live. So if you think in 3 years that change has happened, there's now the ability and the systems exist to monetize for publishers this TV, but also for us to buy and access that inventory within this connected ecosystem. So really what we're talking about is taking the same methodology of buying, whether it's programmatic guaranteed, whether it's audience guaranteed, whether you're bidding, into the TV world. So it's that ecosystem that's kind of spilling over, and it's almost becoming a completely agnostic infrastructure, which I think is really, really interesting. What I actually was probably most pleased about was when I was speaking to the individual product teams afterwards, and I asked the questions like, how are we going to track, how are we going to understand? So Google's working with the IAB on the IFA measurement framework, which is the identifier for advertising. So there will be a form of unique identifier that will allow you to identify and manage frequency, which I think is going to be really, really important. So one bit that kind of I was really pleased about was you do get a lot of access to the product teams. The next bit was around machine learning. I'm a firm believer in a human touch. I really like kind of clear campaign structures, everything to be laid out in a really granular way so you can understand from a visual point of view, from a human point of view. But whether we want it or not, machine learning and automation is absolutely key to growth going forward, particularly as we deal with so many signals, so many touch points, and so many different formats that we communicate with the consumer. Google was very clear that they did believe and they did see kind of feedback from us that machine learning does have a black box effect, which is great. They've taken that on board, and there is key changes now coming to machine learning that give you a little bit more insight. But a little bit of nuggets that really stood out to me, which is kind of, you know, when you're really in the weeds, is they quietly announced that DV360 will have a write API, which actually means that you can communicate to the platform and make changes yourself. So if you again think of that world and that stack, you're now able to actually potentially write your own machine learning, develop your own changes, work with Ads Data Hub. So there's a lot of actual changes coming there, but it's really going to, the fundamentals is really going to, how we work with machine learning going forward is going to be really, really key, and it's here to stay. And there was a lot of talk around the different changes, bringing in seasonality, bringing your own data to play. But I think for anybody here, kind of really getting to grips with machine learning, understanding why changes happen, how the specific algorithms work, is going to become really, really important. And then the other bit so the last big bit that I picked out on was the quote on kind of the future of search was that click was the nirvana. And it's all around how Google is changing its business to understand more than just the click. And a lot of these type of slides are seen, I think I've probably seen 50 or 60 of these across the 2 days. And it's all around how Google is looking at the individual touch points. And it boils back to, you can't just take search as the only signal of intent, which I think is a really interesting one when it was looked at in the context of retail, which is probably the more competitive space where Amazon, and particularly with the direct-to-consumer, Facebook and Instagram have had good coverage. It was really interesting to see how Google was positioning themselves in this area, looking at all the different touch points across all the different avenues they have, and really trying to go beyond what we see as just a click. And this was kind of a really interesting bit when you actually bring it all together and look at it within the marketing platform point of view. And then finally, the bit that I'm really interested on, and I saw it kind of when I walked into the product sandbox bit, was the concept of the marketing cloud, which is basically bringing this all together. So we've been a big fan of BigQuery for about 2 years now within the business, and we really think it's a great way forward to measure and understand performance. But Google's bringing this all together now with the whole concept of marketing cloud. And what's so amazing is it actually is almost drag and drop, click a few buttons, sign in and authenticate something, and then you have access to these data sets. And these are kind of the 3 key platforms that we spent a lot of time talking to individual product people about, was actually understanding how to join all the dots. Particularly with Data Studio, bringing in data from Analytics 360 and Optimize 360, I think is a really good way to start joining all the dots of performance together, start looking at all these individual touch points, which I thought was a really kind of interesting way of looking at it. And then if I have kind of 3 main takeaways, first and foremost is that we as practitioners need to understand and start kind of getting value out of the marketing platform as opposed to the specific channels, to stop looking at the performance of search, stop looking at the performance of search, the performance of YouTube, the performance of display, and start looking at how these connect together and actually work as one single ecosystem. More disruption is coming, so stop operating in channels. Really look at it again, the marketing system and the platform, but step outside of what's just connected to the traditional digital landscape and look at digital audio, look at connected TVs. A world exists outside of ads that needs to be traveled, and what I mean here is that there's more than just the core ads platforms. So really do look at things like a BigQuery, Marketing Cloud, Optimize 360, get familiar with Tag Manager, because these are becoming some of the most important areas of our businesses moving forward. And embrace machine learning, but only if you can understand this change. So what I really mean here is that we need to become more familiar with the concepts of machine learning and how these things actually work, why changes might happen, why this might be a good time to adopt machine learning, why it might not be, why machine learning might not work for this particular advertiser because of volume, and really trying to understand a lot of those changes. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave. Before I go any further, I can't believe I forgot to call out our new hashtag at the start for you folks. Up at the top corner, you'll see there, Grow with Google. That's our new hashtag, our new branding, the kind of umbrella that we're trying to put all of this kind of this under. So if you are looking for some resources, if you want to join the community on LinkedIn and things like that, Grow with Google, hashtag Grow with Google is going to be the hashtag going forward. Just quickly on kind of what Dave covered off there, guys, just to kind of capture a few key points. I'd say some of the most common questions we get from you guys when we're chatting to you down the bottom or outside is, look, I'm hearing a lot about machine learning in particular. I'm hearing a lot about automation, but I'm not sure what it means for my business or how I should start maybe doing it, or am I doing it in the right way? In short, if you rewind back, and a lot of you here will be doing this long enough that you'll remember, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, you would have spent hours and hours creating so many ads, different type of ad copy, tweaking your bids, and investing a whole lot of time into what are now kind of, you know, we have the automation, we have the tools and the software to allow us to do that, which then offsets and gives us the opportunity to invest more time into looking at strategy, looking at what are our competitors doing, what opportunities maybe are there for us overseas and things like that. So if you are particularly considering around automation, machine learning, and you've got some questions on that, chat to myself or some of the team afterwards as well. If you're starting out in that journey, or if you want to look to refine what you're doing, chat to us. That's what we're here for, because I know there's a lot of questions around that. Okay, on to our next speaker. So kind of following on from what Dave has spoken about there, which I think is kind of the general kind of undertone of what we were discussing at Google Marketing Live, right, which is the direction we see our business going, and pretty much the changes, I think, that we're starting to see in the industry and that we anticipate to see in the industry as well. What Caroline is going to talk to us now about is probably a little bit more, okay, what are some of the next steps that we can actually take, perhaps, as business owners and marketers, to maybe try and differentiate ourselves perhaps from some of the competition out there. So again, if you go back to Marie's original point at the start, is this is all rooted in having a good understanding in smart solutions, a good understanding of who our audience is, and making sure that we're kind of covering all bases there. But when we feel confident that we are doing that, what are the kind of the new features, the new kind of latest and greatest that we have released into the market to try and bring about some of that differentiation? So I'll let Caroline do her own introduction in a moment. So please welcome up on stage Caroline Dunlea, CEO of Core Optimisation.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks a million, Carl, for the lovely introduction. As Carl said, my name is Caroline Dunlea. I'm CEO of Core Optimisation, and we are a performance digital marketing agency. A picture paints 1,000 words. I've only got 20 minutes up here, so just to give you a little bit of a background in terms of who we are. We're based in County Clare. We're an independent agency, and hence the picture of the Cliffs of Moher up there, who are also happen to be a client. We work across the primarily across the retail industry and the hospitality industry, helping our clients grow their revenue online. That's the performance piece. It's important for us to look past not just growing their traffic, but understand what's happening from a usability perspective, from a user journey perspective, to increase conversion rate and to get the best from the ROIs that we're all investing into Google. In terms of a little bit of background in terms of our start, we're a relatively young agency, which is important. So we're an SME. So just in terms of the audience here today, just for me to get a sense of who's here, how many of us in the audience are SMEs? Can we have a show of hands? Okay, so there is a few of us. That's good. So like that, we understand the challenges of growing a business, of looking at getting new clients on board, and of getting into new markets. And I suppose, just to give you a little bit of background in terms of where we came from, we started the business in 2014, but we sat in our hands for a little while, and actually didn't get out and get going ourselves, both myself and my business partner, until 2015. We had worked together for 7 years in the hospitality industry, growing online revenue, and we really wanted to bring our approach to other industries, and we've managed to do that. We took on our first employee in 2016, became a Google Premier Partner later on that year, which was really important for us, and important for us to make sure that we had the support from Google, that we had the ability to be out at the center of new products coming out, and that we had the, I suppose, the chance to come to events like this, talk to the team, and make sure that for our clients we're doing the right thing. When we look at where we went from there, we've won a couple of awards, our team grew, and just to bring us up to where we are today, we're currently a team of 14, working across the Irish market and the UK market, working across a number of different industries, and we're manage over 70 clients' budgets within Google. So with that in mind, I'm just going to go into why it's so important and why we would have gone to Google Marketing Live. We jumped at the opportunity to attend Google Marketing Live with two hands once we got the invite. As a small independent agency working with big brands across Ireland and the UK, it's really important for us to make sure that we're at the forefront of any new products that are coming out, that we're making sure that we're using and leveraging off of, I suppose, all of Google's machine learning, and you've heard a bit from Dave about that, and using those automation tools to get the very best out of our campaigns that we're driving for our clients. There were three main, I suppose, reasons that are things that we wanted to take away from when we were at Google Marketing Live. And the first one was, I suppose, what can we bring back that's new, that's going to make a difference to our retail clients? Very simply, what can we bring back that's new, that's going to make a difference to our hospitality and our travel clients? And let's assess ourselves, let's benchmark ourselves, let's see where we are at, and let's make sure that we are utilising all of the tools both for our team internally, but in terms of driving our own business forward and making sure that we're doing the right thing by our clients. So they were the three main areas that we wanted to cover. One of the biggest things that came out for me, I think, when we were at Google Marketing Live was the fact that the consumer journey is changing so much. The customer expectations are changing so much. I suppose they expect, they're so information rich that they expect to have all of that information depending on where they are at within their customer journey. And as marketeers, we are responsible to make sure that we're giving them the right message at the right time. And that was very, very clear. So I suppose with that, I've chosen 4 topics to discuss. There was an awful lot, as Marie said, coming at us over the course of the few days. So I feel that these are very practical applications that when they are released, we will be able to bring them into our businesses and that they will make a real difference to our revenue. The one thing as well, I suppose, and you'll see the theme coming through, is a lot of the new products that are coming out are very visual based. They're very image led, and that's based on what our customers want. They want to make sure that they have that sense of experience, and so that's why a lot of the products that you'll hear being talked about today are about the creatives and about the visuals. So the first one I'm going to speak about is gallery ads. Gallery ads are currently still in beta, but you have the opportunity to get whitelisted to be able to use it for your business. And we have done that for some of our clients. So what gallery ads are actually is that they're literally, let me just bring this in here, they're combining the best of your imagery and your ad copy, so really compelling imagery, and bringing it into a swipeable, useful carousel. So it allows you to put anywhere between 4 and 8 images up. And it really gets across, I suppose the most important thing is that it gets across a more holistic brand story. So you can get more information to your customer about your products or about your services through this. And one of the other important elements of this is that it actually sits at the very top of the search page. So from, let's say, a prime retail space and from a visibility perspective, your gallery ads are something that I would definitely recommend using. We have started rolling these out for our clients, whitelisting them, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the results are going to be like over the coming months. So the next item that I want to, our clicker is a little bit slow, talk about is discovery ads. And discovery ads, I suppose, are a really easy campaign to use, and it's basically where it's image based. It provides us with an open canvas to again get our products, showcase our products out in front of our customers, and they're visually rich, mobile first, and absolutely everything that we think of has to be surrounded around mobile. We know that the mobile traffic has increased from our desktop traffic, that our customers are spending more screen time on mobile than they are anything else, and it uses the power of intent. And the power of intent basically is whereby it's personalizing the information for that customer. So it's looking at what sites they may have been on before, what interests they have. So it's very much top of the funnel information and just making sure that you're getting your brand out there in front of somebody when they are in that discovery mode. So then it's available on Gmail, it's available on YouTube and Google Discover. Now Google Discover is another image-based feed. It comes in at the bottom of the screen, at the bottom of your homepage, but it's not yet available in Ireland. So there are a couple of things as we were going through naturally with the new product release. These things are coming out, but they're not all here and they're not all available as of yet. Creatives matter. They really do matter an awful lot. And if any of us are here today and we feel that we don't have the right assets and we don't have the right creatives, we really need to stand back and take a look at that. I think the difference, and that's how we'll stand out from the crowd, is by looking at what imagery we have, what creatives we have, and how you combine those together to make sure that you're giving the customer the experience that they are expecting. So make sure that you have those assets. What basically Google Ads does then is it actually creates the campaign. You upload your asset, you upload your ad copy, and it will run through different combinations of that to make sure that the combination that it's bringing back through machine learning is going to be the combination that's going to perform best for you. Google Shopping. Google Shopping has been here for quite a while, so we're all aware of Google Shopping. Google Shopping for me, if there's retailers, and I think I can see a few people that I recognize here anyway, Google Shopping is so important when it comes to retail. And in terms of the new initiatives that have been released within Google Shopping, again, going back to what Dave was talking about an ecosystem, it's keeping everything within the same platform. And Google have released a Buy Now with Google, which means that when you're within Google Shopping, you can click Buy Now. You don't have to go away from that experience. You stay immersed within that very visual, image-based experience to be able to purchase that product once you want to do that. It comes with a Shop with Google guarantee. It also comes with information around what your return policy is and shipping details. So again, a really strong product release when it comes to Google Shopping. Showcase shopping ads, again, very visual, much more around inspiring the customer. So if the customer is looking for inspiration, if they don't really know fully the exact product that they want at this time, this is a really good tool to be able to use. So for example, if I'm searching for something like laptops, but I haven't decided if that's going to be an Apple laptop, if it's going to be a Google laptop, a HP laptop, again, it's getting your information out there. It's available on YouTube and on Discover. Promoted pins and maps. As marketeers, there's always been a challenge to fully attribute the full value of our budgets online to what's happening, particularly in retail, from an offline perspective. And we know a lot of the clicks that we get, people are coming into our stores. They're not just purchasing online. Promoted pins and maps allows us to be able to optimize to get people into the store. I suppose Google have recognized that a lot of our advertising budget is not all spent through our websites. So to looking at kind of local campaigns, this will really help to promote your store within the locality. So it allows you to get in front of people through Google Maps if they're searching for a product or a service that you're offering. Again, promoting store visits and phone calls. Then local inventory ads. For Google Shopping, this is just where it's not just telling the customer that you have the product, it's also letting them know the product is currently in stock. So again, encouraging people to either purchase the product at that time or come into the store. Integration, there is now Google Now for any of our retail clients. Google Now can integrate with your shopping feed with Magento and with Shopify. It goes back to looking at how we're being more efficient. Time saving, I think that's a really important key element that came from the overall sessions in Google Marketing Live. It was to make sure that we are utilizing the machine learning that Google has invested in to actually get some of those automated products out there, and to make sure that we're saving time, to make sure that we're able to be more strategic, that we're focusing on the strategy more than focusing on executing on I suppose, the day-to-day. And taking a step back to be able to do that is really important when it comes to how we're going to actually drive revenue forward and deliver on an ongoing basis. Trips. So Dave alluded to trips earlier on, our Google Travel. And again, talking about ecosystem, this is really good for anybody in the travel industry. And this is whereby we're taking information, Google's taking information on flights, on hotels, on things to do near me, on visitor attraction centres. So really understanding what the customer is looking for. And in this case, the customer wants to be able to get that experience, understand all of their options, and not have to leave that one platform. So it really is it's an excellent tool. Dave had said he had already been using it. It's now on desktop. It wasn't on desktop previously, so it's definitely looking at what the customer's needs are and making sure that we're addressing them. In addition to this, Google Hotel Ads is something that if you're a hotel, you're probably already using, but up to now we would have had to maybe use a third party to actually get the inventory feed through to Google Hotel Ads. Now you can do that directly, so it's just a new addition and additional visibility to get more hotels within the system. So again, has better reporting, better insights, and that's going to help us drive better decisions going forward. Promoted hotels in Google Ads, a really good innovative way to get your inventory or your hotel stock, if you have periods of low occupancy, out in front of your customers. So you can actually put specific check-in dates onto the system so that people can see what's there and promote those specific dates if you're in I suppose, a low occupancy period of time. That isn't launched yet. That will be launched later this year. And that, I suppose, from me is kind of the 4 products that I thought were going to be the most relevant in terms of driving some revenue in terms of applying to your current campaigns, and that will make a big difference to your campaigns as they stand today. Our core key takeaways and initiatives that I think for me that were very, very strong coming out from the sessions that were there were that we need to focus more on the creatives. We need to be led by strategy. You know, we talk about the customer journey and we talk about how the customer expectations have changed so much, and they have. We need to start thinking of the customer and their journey as opposed to the channels, and putting the customer first. And I think when we do that, we're going to see a big difference in terms of our approach and in terms of the results that we get back from the campaigns that we're doing. So focusing on strategy and using the automation tools to help do that. Responsive search ads are one way to do that. Smart creatives. We have seen some really fantastic results using responsive search ads. Particularly for some of our retail clients. So again, I would definitely advise you, for any of these automation tools, time is key. You can't turn them on and expect them to work straight away. You need to let a certain amount of data build up, and you need to give them the chance. So not all tools are equal, and not all tools will be the same for all of our businesses. So it is worth looking at what are your goals, what are you looking to achieve? Is it leads? Is it store visits? Is it e-commerce? Is it revenue online? So depending on what they are will depend on the type of tools that you're going to use. But these are some of the tools that we have found have worked very well. I would definitely recommend rolling out the gallery ads. Consumers are gone more visual. Everything that we're seeing is very visually led in terms of new product releases. And we know that those visuals have a higher level of engagement and drive a higher level of engagement. Then the Google Shopping. We talk to clients, our clients that are coming on board, sometimes particularly retail clients, and they're not all using Google Shopping, they're still using Google Search. And I think you need to look across both. It's not all the time, so I'm saying shift some of the budget into Google Shopping, or more of your budget into Google Shopping. We are seeing higher conversion rates on Google Shopping for our retail clients. So it is important that doesn't mean that you have to increase your budget immediately. What it means is that look at redistributing your budget, and as you start to see that returning for you, and you start to see your revenue increase and your ROI go up, you can start looking at then how you want to increase your budget. Measurement of online to offline projects. We're doing a couple of projects with some clients at the moment whereby we are taking the data that they have from their in-store purchases and we're bringing it up into Google Cloud, and we're looking to see how many of those had touch points, or how, if we can attribute that back to people that actually had a touch point with one of their ads. So there's a couple of projects like that we wouldn't have been able to do, or that we wouldn't have known about should we not have been actually attending Google Marketing Live. So it's really given us the ability to do more with our clients outside of like store visits or something that are available. And store visits are available in the UK. They're not available in Ireland yet until next year. But store visits basically allow you to be able to say, well, this is the percentage of people that actually clicked on my ads and walked over the threshold of my door. I suppose taking that online to offline measurement is massively important. And so there are other ways that you can do it. And that's one of the projects that we're undertaking with a number of our clients at the moment. And a full review of Google Data Studio. Google Data Studio is basically Google's reporting tool, so it allows you to be able to slice and dice all of the information and customize it to your own needs. So it's available to all of us. At the moment, we use, I suppose, other Google features to customize our reporting for our clients in the way that I suppose we need it to and they need it to be done. But when we were talking to the product guys, we realized that actually we could probably use Data Studio for us as a business to see how we're performing as a business as opposed to looking at it at a client basis. And that's something as a project that we're taking on board and moving forward with. So I suppose that's kind of it for me in terms of the summaries. The big things coming out of it were use automation. Machine learning is here to stay, as Dave said, and Google is becoming more and more image-led. Think of your assets, think of your creatives, and particularly, I suppose, even for the likes of retail. I know it's June, and talking about Black Friday, I'd probably get something thrown at me now at the moment, but you do need to plan in advance. You do need to know what is available to you, and you do need to manage that strategy. So some of the things I talked about today, I hope will help you with that. That's it for me.